aliens. That is what we're going to be talking about today, okay? But understand this, okay? This is going to be a very particular type of alien video. I have ranked aliens based off breedability. I have rated aliens based off our ability to be able to take them with the united power of humanity. And in this video, I'm going to be ranking them on how justified space racism would be. Now, let me explain something to you very, very quickly. This is a theory that I hold within my very soul. The way to get rid of all racial prejudice on the planet would be to introduce intergalactic prejudice. This is a rough start, but I'm already in a flow state. I can't go back now, okay? I do legitimately believe that. I want you to think about it like this, dog, okay? There is always something differenter, okay? You want to find this weirdo that doesn't like Eduardo down the street based off something that he can't control? Guess what? You know how you get him to not really care? You introduce Insectoid 3000 coming from the Andromeda Galaxy. Okay, he'll be like, yeah, I don't like him, he different. But he differenter. That would be the way that we would get rid of it, okay? And here's the truth. Depending on the aliens that would be coming to planet Earth, that would determine how heavily I do believe that prejudice would be. Because there are some aliens I really do believe we would be chill with. Like, I think the Predator from the Predator movies, low-key, bro, we would be homies. I think we would. I think we'd be like, you know what? He may look a little bit funny, but you know what, bro? He makes a good kebab, okay? I think me and him would be cool. There'd be a little bit of some friction there, but I think we'd be pretty chill. However, I could not say the same for literally any type of insectoid alien. If aliens turn out to look like bugs, brother, it would go insane-o style, man. It would go crazy with the words, the language we would make up to go at them. And in this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be going through aliens throughout fiction, everything. From the Na'vi from the Avatar movies, E.T. from E.T., to the Q from Old Tomorrows, to, of course, the Viltrumites from Invincible. And we're going to be ranking them on how much prejudice I believe they would get and how justified that would be. And with all that out of the way, if you enjoy this video, please consider like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That is the goal. 500,000 before the release of GTA 6. And with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Let's go. E.T. from E.T. Let me tell you something right now, bro. If those aliens strolled up to planet Earth, I'm going to be honest with you. I think there'd be some prejudice, but I don't think it would be like a maximum prejudice. 100%, you would get a few 5-year-olds. They're walking down the sidewalk, and they're like... They're over here walking with their hands in front of their abdomens because they're so squishy, they need a secondary rib cage to defend themselves. And they're over here like, children... 100% there's going to be a suburban dad that grabs his kid and bring him in. It's like, you don't play with that one. Okay, I'm sorry, that's just going to be the case. And here's the truth, dog. E.T. give me the ick. There's something about E.T. that I just don't like, bro. I don't like him, okay? Like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, stay away from my kid or I'm going to cough in your face, okay? That's all I got to say here, man. Gets no dipped by the common cold talking about using the force with his fingertip, and I don't like that. Keep that away from me until we can figure this one out. The truth is, my man, if E.T. strolled up to Earth, I don't think it'd be that bad. I think they would low-key kind of get turned into merchandise, and then we would learn to coexist. However, it would be one of those things where, like, what are we really going to bond on, though? Like, from the human race and the E.T. race, like, what are we actually going to bond on outside of, like... I have no clue. I think it would be one of those things like, no, you look a little bit funny. I don't know if we're going to be really chill. I'm going to put the E.T., bro. Honestly, I think there would be some prejudice. It wouldn't be like some beef, because beef is kind of lighthearted. I think this would legitimately be like, there's prejudice here. And the E.T. would like not want to live on Earth by any means at all. I'm going to put it right there. Xenomorphs from Alien. I'm going to be real here, dog. These types of aliens, they're kind of difficult to rank because they lack higher function to be able to, like, talk with us, chill with us, you know, not try to eat us. So I think humanity would resort to completely and utterly just eradicatus, bro. I think we would stroll in any planet that even somewhat had them, and we would just block out the sun. We would literally be making up reasons to take care of them, bro. Like, the truth is, man, okay? I get it. Kind of human-saped, okay? But at the same time, outside of like the freaky dude that really likes latex, I don't think we're going to have a lot of opportunities of getting along with the xenomorphs from Alien. Like, if we're like trolling through the intergalactic, okay, we're vibing, we're moving through, and then we see a xenomorph on a planet, I am telling you this right now, bro, there will be zero efforts of us trying to communicate with them. It'll literally be like, all right, one of these things, take them out, bro, scorch the planet. I'm gonna be real here, bro. Everything that thing has touched, burn it and cleanse it with holy fire, bro. That is something that was not meant to be created. Remove it from existence now. That's what's gonna happen. That's just what's gonna happen, dude. That's the truth. That's the matter of it. And I'm gonna be real here, dog. They would be persecuted with max prejudice to the point where they no longer exist. That's what would happen. The Covenant from Halo. I'm just gonna do the entirety of the Covenant because that's gonna be a lot easier to do than going through the Grunts, the Jackals, the Sangheili. Because I'm gonna be real here, dog. I don't think we would ever get along. Why? They came at us with that energy first. Brother, the Covenant is basically the space Catholic Church right before the Crusades, and they were a little bit like too antsy to be getting into some business, dog, okay? They dislike humanity because we were kind of the favorite of the precursors of the Forerunners, but I mean, like, ironically, we weren't the favorite of the Forerunners. The Forerunners didn't really like us when we coexisted. But the point that I'm trying to make here, dog, is the Covenant hates us for being human. Like, their entire argument is that we're weak, we're chaotic, and we need to be absolutely eradicated. To the point that if we actually started coexisting, like, we would have that real awkward relationship with them. We'd be like, we remember what you guys did. We remember that, bro. Like I'm gonna be real here. The Grunts went through, like, their own business. I get it, but they're kind of weird looking, and they don't have any breeding planets anymore. They're basically the intergalactic species that sits in the corner chair of every single hotel room, bro. You took away their breeding planets. Okay? And then we got the Sangheili. And the Sangheili, I feel like we would be kind of bros. I feel like there'd be some beef. I really do. I feel like the Sangheili, like, we would go back and forth. They would call us, like, pig people. And then we'd look at them as like, listen to me, tentacle face. Like we'd be ripping. We have a slur guy in the comment section down below, and I feel like we'd be, like, ripping into each other, but I feel like there'd be, like, a camaraderie dealing with. Like, the Sangheili, low-key, would be carrying the human relations portion of the Covenant when they're going anywhere. Because the Jackal, I dislike them off principle, bro. I don't like bird people. Bird people freak me out. I don't like that. And I'm still mad about the legendary Jackal snipers, bro. I'm still heated on that. I feel like there'd be a lot of, like, very, very, like, soft spots whenever we're, like, talking to anybody. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what it is. The Covenant low-key kind of had, like, the best interior design. Like, I don't know what it is. It's, like, futuristic alien gothic. And it kind of had a little bit of a to it. Like, does that make sense? I don't know if it does. But there's something about the Covenant that's like, you know what? Covenant low-key got some style. We could coexist. All you gotta do is get rid of all of the prophets. Every single prophet has to go. What about the brutes? I'm gonna be real here, dog. Like, I look at the brutes the same way that I look at, like, Appalachian people in America. I'm like, they kind of keep to themselves. Yeah, they're a bit burly, and it's kind of confusing how big and jacked they get considering they live in the middle of nowhere. Where are you getting your calories, corn-fed? But, like, at the same time, tell me if you could have an intergalactic friend group, you wouldn't have a brute in that friend group. Like, I'm gonna be real here, dog. I would want one Na'vi, one Sangheili, maybe a Predator, and then a Brute. Low-key, I think that'd be there. I'm gonna put the Covenant, honestly, we'd have some beef, but we would get along with some of them. The Jackals are a no-no. The Grunts are a no-no. But the Sangheili, one of the good ones. So I'm gonna put them in. We got some beef, but I think it'd be valid. Martians from War of Worlds. Absolutely not. Nah. Maximum prejudice. Maximum prejudice, bro. Absolutely not. You can't stroll up to your solar system neighbor. Brother, you're from Mars, and you're coming over here. Absolutely delete us, bro. You have so much aura that you make the sound that signals you're coming. Literally one of the trumpets from Revelations. Start vaporizing all of my people. And then catch the common cold and proceed to start keeling over and being like, please, please, no. Brother, let me tell you something right now. From that point forward, we're learning how to travel to your hood just to remind you guys who and only is made in the image of God. Okay? We're strolling up to Mars and we are reminding y'all who own the stars, bro. We were created in his image to inherit all that he created. For the stars are below heaven, and therefore it is our domain. That is what we are going to remind you guys after the stunt that you pulled on Earth, bro. Yeah, I'm going to be real here, dog. Okay? Like, dude, you better run. You better run back to Mars, bro. We're bringing whatever, like thing that got you guys, and we're bringing it to your planet, and we're going to spear it from you from orbit. Okay? And then we're going to stroll in after you lost like 90% of your population, and then we're going to come in and clean house. Okay? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to be real here, dog. Maximum prejudice. Okay? Eradicatus. No question in my mind. The Na'vi from Avatar. Woo! Okay. Let me tell you something right now, bro. My biggest problem with the Na'vi from Avatar is the fact Na'vi sympathizers, when they start talking about how could the humans think that they could beat the Na'vi? Brother! A private security firm had them on the ropes! Brother, the moment, the humanity's military came in and even slightly locked in, we literally just completely leveled a forest just because it was in our landing zone. Okay? Listen, I understand being a Na'vi sympathizer, but don't you forget where you come from. Humanity inherits the stars, bro. We strolled in, we delete their forest, we say in their language, get out of here, we own it now. Okay? That's what's gonna happen, bro. For Avatar 3, I actually have a plan. I did a whole speech of how I would personally take out the Na'vi, okay? And I actually made a whole game plan of how I would do it as well, along with my victory speech. And the truth is, dog, to give you a little bit of illusion when that video does eventually come out, let me tell you this right now, bro. The way that you would take out the Na'vi, it would be the same way that, like, the Bene Gesserit did it in Dune. I would implant false idols into their religion, and then I would send basically a pseudo-Christ character to basically become their version of J-Dog, and then I would use that to pioneer all of them into being subservient to humanity. No, like, I actually want you to think that how we would do this, bro. I would make an avatar of me, and I would stroll in, and I would create prophecies that, like, he could actually just completely and utterly, like, do for them, okay? Start demonstrating miracles that they don't understand because it's just technology that we have, and then when that person becomes their pseudo-leader, then we're going to do this where he's like, hey, I will lead you, and now you will follow them. And that would be the way that I would do it, bro. They call humanity sky people. I'm gonna be real here, dog. It's not that hard to convince them that we are something above, like, the normal Yahweh. Not Yahweh. Ewa. For real, bro, they even have similar names. Like, that would be the way that we would do it. Like, it bothers me that that's not how the RDA would do it. Like that would be the way. They're a very extremely spiritual people. That would be the way that you would circumvent that, and you wouldn't even have to, like, necessarily have, like, a straight-on military assault. It would literally just capture the hearts and minds of them and their faith and use that to make them work for humanity. That would be the way to do it. However, I'm gonna be real here, dude. There would be beef. There would 100%, because there would be a point where the Na'vi realized what we did. But there would be some beef. I'm going to be real here. There would be some beef. No, there's no question here. But we would get along. We would get along near the end. The Dark Eldar from Warhammer. Listen, we got another one from Warhammer, but I'm going to be real here, dog. When the term space racism gets brought up, and you bring up the Warhammer verse, and you try to say it as a bad thing, no. Brother. Space racism in the Warhammer verse is literally just survival. Like, no, the Dark Eldar are just that bad. The Dark Eldar are literally, like, the most brutal civilization in the entirety of the Warhammerverse. Do you have any idea how brutal you have to be to make the literal chaos gods that are actually demons look kind of reasonable? Like, orcs, literally, all they do is they love wah! Wah! And here's the truth, they're brutal, but I can kind of understand it. The Imperium of Man is also hilariously brutal. But at the same time, the Dark Eldar are just so much worse. The Dark Eldar are so much worse in literally every single way. That they literally feast on your suffering. Your soul energy is what satiates them. That's how brutal they are. There is no level of coexistence that can occur. They are getting maximum prejudice. Brother, they're basically the space Thalmor. And you know how I feel about the Thalmor, dog. Fantasy racism might be a video, bro. That might be a video that I have to make, bro. Thalmor can get it, dude. Oh my goodness. Every time that I bring up the Thalmor, I'm just reminded that even as a kid, I was like, I can't stand the Thalmor, dude. Like, I don't like the Stormcloaks. Like, I don't like them a lot. I dislike the Thalmor so much, I served the Stormcloaks. That's how bad it was. I'm putting it in maximum prejudice against the Dark Eldar, no question. The Yaojue, or the Predators from the Predator movies. Brother, I watched Predator: The Badlands, and this is something that I was saying for a minute, and 100%, I'm still staying on it. We could 100% coexist with the Predators. 100% we could. Well, they're a warrior hunting society. So was Norway. What are you talking about, bro? I'm sorry. We managed to make peace with the people of Scandinavia. Do you have any idea how crazy those people were? We made peace with them. We can 100% make peace with the Predators, bro. Understand this. It'll take a minute, and it'll probably be something like the Human Covenant conflict, where we kind of had to, like, demonstrate that we're strong enough and we're equals to them, and then we would slowly but surely kind of morph them into our allies. Like, I feel like we'd have, like, good back and forths. But I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I feel like, and they don't even hate humanity. Like, that's the part that I feel like we can kind of work with. They don't dislike humanity. They actually admire humanity quite a bit. I feel like we could get along. We could coexist. We would throw sots at each other, but I'm gonna be real here, dog. It wouldn't be in like a some beef type of way. It would be in a we are bros type of way. Like, I'm gonna be real here, dog. Like, we could 100% get with the Predators, bro. I'm putting it in we are bros. I already assume that's how it's gonna happen. The Q from Ultimaros. Maximum prejudice. Bro, the Q from Ultimaros straight up strolled up to humanity and set us back literally hundreds of thousands to millions of years, turning us into literal, like, pets for them. They once just absolutely genetically modified an entire group of humans into turning them into a human waste disposal because they put up too much of a fight. I'm sorry, dog. The Q can 100% get it. They can get absolutely eradicated the moment humanity decides to step up. Brother, I'm sorry. That's how bad it was, dude. Okay, and Ultimaros, like, and it's not even like the Q are even somewhat justified at all. The Q's so up, absolutely decimate humanity, and the entire book kind of ends with humanity kind of becoming a pseudo version of the Q. But at the same time, dog, I don't feel bad at all for what happened to the Q by the end of the story. They were just so hilariously bad that anything that we could have done to the Q was seen as reasonable based off how dirty they did us for millions of years. I'm sorry, bro. Maximum prejudice, eradicatus, no question. Put it right there. Viltrumites or Kryptonians. They can kind of go hand in hand on this one. I'm going to be real here, dog. The one part that kind of bothers me that nobody really brings up when you're talking to, like, the Viltrumites or Kryptonians, and I know Kryptonians, they probably brought it up. Why do they look like humans? And nobody brings that up, by the way. Like, nobody talks about that. Like, no, how is it in, like, the actual genetic lottery that is, like the entirety of the universe? Like, I want you to think about this. Like, organic or intelligent life is so hilariously rare that it's like 1,000,000,000,000 to 1 that it could ever exist, right? Think about that. Like 1,000,000,000,000 to 1 that it could ever exist. But we find another alien species that looks exactly like us. They're just quite a bit more powerful. The problem that I have with that is if we found out that there was another alien species that looked just like us, bro. And I was like, oh, well, we could have a similar planet, and that's why it happened. Brother, the amount of things that had to occur for humans to look the way that we do, that if we ever found an alien species that looks the way that we do, it would be like that would mess with us more than anything. Like, people talk about, it's like, if we found out what aliens look like, what would you want them to look like? The one that would mess with people the most is if aliens looked exactly like us. That would mess with us the most. We would have no clue how that worked. If that's the case, it would kind of be like an Avatar situation. And, like, that's what I thought the Kryptonians were. Like, no, the last son of Krypton, they made him look like a human child. That way he would be raised. Not necessarily. No. I thought that's what Viltrumites did. No, Viltrumites just look like that. They all grow mustaches. That's the other thing that's different about them. I'm sorry, bro. But Viltrumites, here's the truth, man. They're so powerful that they would be the ones that have prejudice towards us. We would try to be their friend and interbreed with them so much that Viltrumites would be like the most they would make humanity the most powerful of all. And that's by the end, that's what happens. We would be bros, no question. Autobots and Decepticons. Cybertronians. I just put Cybertronians. I'm gonna be real here, dog. Optimus Prime still lobbying for humanity, despite humanity like endlessly betraying the Autobots, because we, at the end of the day, we don't really view them as like species, we view them as tools. It's kind of like, brother, it's kind of insane how gullible Optimus can get. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro, like, the part that's kind of crazy is you realize that like not just Decepticons, Megatron and Sentinel Prime were so right in like Dark of the Moon when they were telling Optimus that humanity's going to betray him. That it's kind of like, why didn't you just side with them? Like, I'm gonna be real here. Optimus has every single right to betray humanity based off how dirty humanity has done the Autobots out of at every single turn. Cause like, what do you really offer them at all? And I'm gonna be real here, dog. If Autobots were real, do you think Autobots or Cybertronians would be able to coexist and assimilate in a human society? No. We would never accept Cybertronians at all. And the reason why I see that is because like the idea is, it's like, oh yeah, well I would be friends with a Cybertronian and he would transform into my favorite car. So you have a pet. That's what you're saying. And here's the messed up part. Here's the messed up part, bro. If Cybertronians were real, we would turn them into a product or a pet so quickly, it would actually be depressing. And yeah, that's why this one was on here. I'm either going to put pets or products. That's what would happen. We would turn having a transforming car into like, hey, yo, get the new Cybertronian 3000 made with real Cybertronian parts. That's what would happen. Like, the most realistic part of Transformers is it took them, like, 3 movies to turn them into, like, product placement. That's what would happen, bro. I'm putting it into pets or products, no question. Ewoks. Brother, if Ewoks were real, they would be turned into the next domesticated pet so quickly. And here's the truth, dog. The only thing that would hold me back from putting them in pets or products is the fact that we haven't domesticated raccoons yet. Brother, but I'm sorry, dude. If Ewoks were a real creature, Ewoks would be picked up, dressed up in little onesies, and they would be the new pet of humanity within 3 minutes. I'm telling you that's what would happen, bro. They would not be viewed as equals at all. They would be picked up, dressed up, sold to the highest bidder, and then you would see, I got 3 Ewok babies, to the single 35-year-old like Karen that would usually buy 17 cats, but no, now she has 3 Ewok babies. These are my fur babies. That's what would happen. Brother. If Ewoks were real, they would be turned into pets to the lonely 35-year-old women that are inevitably going to occur. That is what will happen. I'm putting the Ewoks in pets or products. Absolutely zero question in my mind. Prawns from District 9. I'm going to be honest with you, dog. That's probably one of the most realistic interpretations if you just dropped off a bunch of aliens on Earth and they didn't have any like technological advancements or they couldn't really communicate their technological advancement. We would put them into favelas and we would just try to figure out their technology for them. That is what would happen, dude. Like, that is one of the most realistic interpretations of over like how a first contact would occur if aliens were like near humanity in terms of like our technological ability. Like, I don't mean like super hyper advanced, and I know like, well, technically the Prawns were hyper advanced, they just didn't know how their technology worked. That's the point. Imagine if aliens just spawned in on planet Earth and they were just like the average Joe in terms of technological ability, where they're like, yeah, we have Bluetooth, but like Bluetooth is basically magic because we have no clue how it works. So like, yeah, have fun with that. They would be treated and put into favelas because they look funny. That is what would happen, whether you want to... If you don't believe that would happen, brother, you have way too much faith in humanity. I am putting the Prawns. Honestly, bro, they would experience a hilarious amount of prejudice, but I think we would eventually start getting along because it's as simple as this. They're kind of human-shaped, and we could play sports together. I'm not even kidding you, dog. Like, no, a metric that we are kind of unofficially going for is if we can play sports together, or Or, Lord have mercy, if they are breedable, oh my goodness, they would get along. Like, Viltrumites and Predators are going in we bros because of the amount of art that y'all have already made. Y'all are offering yourself up to a jacked Predator woman, and it's insane. I'm putting it right there, no question. The Greys. Just your normal big-headed alien. I'm gonna be real here, dog. If aliens end up looking like this, I'll be kind of disappointed because it'll be like, man, you guys really got the big brain build, and that's really it. That's like all you got. Like, technologically, absolutely are starching us in every way, bro. They literally got the Elden Ring IQ and intelligence build, and they're just spamming sorcery, otherwise known as technology, that we haven't figured out yet. And I'm going to be real here, dog. I think that kind of hurts it a little bit, man. Like, don't get me wrong. We're used to this image of an alien so much that if aliens end up looking like this, we'd probably be like, man, that's such a crazy coincidence. No. I'll tell you this right now. If we see aliens and aliens end up looking like this, I am convinced that aliens have visited Earth. Anyone else think that? If aliens look like how we think they look like from movies, I'm convinced that somebody actually did meet an alien in the past, and that stuff just was kind of like, hey, we need to get people like familiar with the idea of what aliens look like, so let's make the Greys, and that's actually their name. Like, that would be my initial thought if aliens look like how we think they look like. And I'm gonna be real here, dog, it'll still be prejudice, but it would be less prejudice than like E.T. It would be like middle prejudice beneath the Prawns. Why? We can't play sports with the Greys. We just couldn't, and I feel like that would bother it. Prejudice. Insectoids. This goes for the Tyranids, Terminids, any type of bug alien that is more bug than like walking on 2 feet. Brother, bugs would get such an absolutely hilarious amount of prejudice thrown their way that I don't even think, like, I'm gonna be real here. In Helldivers, you find out that we extract gasoline from the foreheads of the Terminids. And I'm going to be real here, dog. That makes way more sense. Like, if we found out that we could get a form of bioenergy from space alien bugs that have some level of intelligence, okay? But not anywhere near humanity. Like, literally, like, kind of smart bugs. We would turn them into the next product chain. Every single thing in your day-to-day life would be made out of some terminid matter because of how many of them that we would ice. It would literally become the new product line. Brother, if alien bugs, if that turns out to be the case, there would be no level of coexisting. Like, this is the way that I say it, bro, okay? You can be an absolute pacifist, bro, and, like, not eat animal meat. This is what I noticed, bro. People don't like eating mammals, so they will start eating birds. If they don't like eating birds, they'll start eating fish. And if they don't eat fish, then they're actually just a vegan. Do you know what animal, no matter what, like, they are perfectly okay with icing these animals? Insects. Nobody cares about insects, dog. Like, I know a lot of women that are like, I'm a vegetarian. No, you're not. You're a pescatarian. You don't care about eating real living animals. You just don't like it that they're mammals and they kind of look like babies, okay? You don't really like that. But even if they're a hardcore vegan, they will still ice bugs. They do not care. They will call me in, and I'm the one that has to ice the spider for them. And that's how I feel, bro. There would be zero sympathy. They would either be turned the pets or they would be turned the products. And my favor is they're putting them in products. I'm putting it right at the bottom. And there you go. That is the space racism tier list. If you enjoyed this video, please consider like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That is the goal. 500,000 before the release of GTA 6. And, if you have any video ideas that are kind of similar to this, leave them in the comment section down below. We can do a fantasy one if you want. That'd be kind of funny if we could do a fantasy one based off, like, you know, D&D and, you know, like Skyrim, stuff like that we could do. And I'm going to be honest with you, that'd be a pretty solid video. So leave it in the comment section, like it up if you really want that one. Hit the bell icon to stay notified. And I will see you all in the next video. Adios, guys.